Well, a major milestone in the war against the Islamic State. Iraqi forces backed by the U.S.-led coalition have retaken the last town held by the Islamic State, the town of Rawa, near the border with Syria. Now, it's at its peak in 2014. The Islamic State controlled more than a third of Iraq, while President Obama just watched from the sidelines. Now, the radical Islamist terrorists only control small plots of rural territory near the Syrian border in that country. Joining me now is former UN Ambassador John Bolton, American Enterprise Institute Senior Fellow and a Fox Business contributor. Ambassador Bolton, it sure looks like we're winning the land war against ISIS, at least in Iraq and Syria, no?
Well, I think the ISIS caliphate is on the verge of being destroyed. I think really it's only a matter of time. I think it was the right objective for the United States to destroy the ISIS caliphate. As you intimate, though, they've spread out to other places, to Libya, to Yemen, to Pakistan and Afghanistan. So their terrorist threat continues, but the caliphate itself is on the verge of ending. The problem is that the Obama strategy to destroy the caliphate relied in very significant part on the government in Baghdad, the Shia-dominated, Iran-dominated government of Iraq. So that, in effect now, although we've used others like the Kurds and some other Arab forces, Iran really gains a significant victory, and it allows it to project power through the Shia areas of Iraq, link up with the Assad regime in Syria and Hezbollah in Lebanon, setting the stage, I'm afraid, for the next conflict in the region.
Wow, that's kind of scary. And the fact is that right now Iran has influence in Lebanon as well, significant influence. Some people say they control the country. Is that true?
Well, I think, in effect, through Hezbollah, nothing happens they don't want. In theory, they're not in charge of the government, but Prime Minister Saad Hariri has just resigned. It's really in turmoil, really close to anarchy at this point, all of which benefits Iran, endangers Israel, endangers the oil-producing monarchies on the Arabian Peninsula.
Which is why, by the way, one of the first stops, or the first stop, that President Trump made as president was Saudi Arabia. He wanted to get this alliance together of Arab countries, Muslim Arab countries that were totally against what the Iranians are doing, their ambitions to take over all of the Middle East. But that's now kind of in jeopardy, or at least it could be when you look at what's happening in Saudi Arabia, no?
Well, I think the young Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, with the full authority of his father, the king, is trying to consolidate power. He said he wants really radical transformations in the country. He's called for moderate Islam. I think most of what he's doing, I think Americans would applaud. But the question is, has he provoked opposition that has not yet acceded to his taking power? And does he have a contingency plan to prevent what I'll call a Shah of Iran scenario? That is to say, a westernizing, modernizing monarch who runs into religious forces that eventually overthrow him.
Which happened in '79. That's what the Ayatollah was all about. Quickly, we want to switch to North Korea. Because it's been 2 months now since they lit a missile or set off a nuclear explosion. Is that because of the efforts of Donald Trump, or is there something else going on here?
Look, it's possible. We don't know much about the rationale for why North Korea does anything. That's one reason we should not allow them to get nuclear weapons. It's possible that this halt is because of scientific reasons, testing reasons. It could be a combination. It could be almost anything. I think we still need to see what China agreed to with President Trump during their meetings in Beijing. China could make a critical difference here, and we're still waiting to see what's going to happen. The threat remains very grave.
And what about this Chinese envoy? It's been 2 years since there's been one in North Korea. I'm wondering what an envoy could do to kind of calm the situation or even denuclearize North Korea.
Well, it could well be he's carrying a message directly from Xi Jinping, the paramount Chinese leader's authorities now unchallenged. It could simply be to brief on the 19th Communist Party Congress. It could be to brief on the Trump-Xi meetings. Or it could be to tell Kim Jong-un, get your act together because the Americans are serious this time.
Let's hope it's the latter.